Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Yeah. I'm sick of abusive, narcissistic relationships. Sick of emotional trips. Sick of the lies that roll off your lips. Play me like some type of script, gaslight me to keep me in grips. Time to cut ties and quit with the snip. Ready to get on the path of toxic recovery. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. You said it was love and all of the above, but you wanna suffer, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Toxic recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery, yeah. Trauma. Yeah. You said it was love and all of the above, but you wanna suffer. Trauma recovery, yeah. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Toxic recovery. Yeah.
Disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and I often refer to toxic narcissists and general abusers as delusional, crazy, and mentally unstable. A, because if anyone should be described as this, it's these types. And B, because when we're in these toxic, narcissistic, or generally abusive dynamics, we often give their behavior far too much respect, which keeps us in the cycle for longer. It is my hope that my mocking of their behavior encourages you to take that respect away. Now, if you've been diagnosed with a general mental health condition, please know that at no point am I mocking or talking about you. I consider that to be a separate issue that I take very seriously. And with that being said, let's get into it. Hello. Okay, so today, I am so sorry, guys, if you got confused about what we were going to be talking about, because I set up two, one for this week and one for next week, and I got the times a bit confused. Blake Lively, Tiana Taylor, all of that's next week, Sunday. This Sunday, we're going to be talking about Shera Seven and the drama that's going on there around her past coming out. And it's basically sparked massive debate about whether she is a fraud, whether, we can take her advice and all of that stuff. So we're going to talk about that first. And then we're going to be talking about Blueface, because he has been acting a whole fool out in these toxic streets. Like, seriously, this guy is the blueprint of narcissistic behavior, right? So we got to talk about that, because the way that he is working these women, insane. So I'm going to break it down, and hopefully you guys will chime in and let me know your thoughts as well. Okay, so I'm sure there are going to be some serious Shera Seven fans out there. She's massive. She's a massive influencer. She does some great stuff. I'm not gonna completely drag her. I know in the community page, I was saying like, oh, this would equal her being a fraud. I think I was, in retrospect, I think I was a little bit, I'm going to back off a little bit off of that statement a little bit. We're not gonna back her off of it the entire way, but we're gonna give her a little bit of grace. We're gonna give her a little bit of grace, right? But we're gonna talk about that first, because for those of you who don't know, stuff has been coming out about this woman. Now, for those of you who really don't know, like have not followed Shera Seven and all of that stuff, she's an influencer that talks about empowerment and women being empowered, and how to basically get the most out of your relationship and men, basically without being screwed over, right? Sounds great. And for full transparency, I've had a bit of an issue with her message from the very beginning, because I've always thought, having heard some of it, that it was kind of like, it's red pill adjacent, as in it's not all of it, just some of it. This is my opinion. Some of it is red pill adjacent, because whilst it talks about empowerment and all that stuff and how to stay in your power, it's there's a little bit of fake empowerment in there, which I am really against, because it is disempowering, right? It's kind of like the whole go out there and sleep with whoever you want, do whatever you want, whenever you want, you're a liberated woman. It's like, well, no, the way that the female system works, that's not really going to work out for a lot of us women, okay? It's actually going to put us in a disempowered position. So when people talk about that, spreading that message, to me, is a disempowering message, because the way that we operate when we have sex, we connect with that person. It's part of our biology, because we have children. The biology wants us to connect to the people that we sleep with, even if they're actually insane. You know what I mean? So we got to be a bit more selective about sleeping around and being liberated and all of that stuff, because it can put us in a really precarious situation. Now, that's not to say that that's what she pushes. She doesn't talk about sleeping around, and all. She doesn't. I just want to make that clear. I'm just using that as an example to open up. We're going to go into the ways in which I think that she's a little bit off kilter and gives a negative message. I did a video about it before. I will link it in the comments before this one. I did it about a year ago when I I think what's that other guy who's totally red pill was alive. He passed away now. Guys, let me know in the comments. What's the guy's name that was here and he was very red pill, black guy, and he was basically just dragging women left, right, and center, basically, and telling them that they basically weren't worthy. Kevin Samuels, that's the one, right? It's very, but in not. You're gonna have to watch my video for me to really explain what I mean by that. But it's adjacent. It's in that area, right? So I'm going to put the link for that one so you can see what I'm talking about more. But let's get into her past and her history. So it's come out that she actually, her guy, James, you know, the one that's the provider, the one that looks after her, and, you know, she's been finessing, you know, doing her empowerment bit around. Turns out that he was an abusive character before with her. To me, the fact that she was in an abusive relationship isn't the bit that makes me give her the side eye. For any about how to avoid those types of situations, including myself, I've been in abusive relationships before now, right? So I can't really say, oh, because she was in an abusive relationship, she's not in any position to give advice. That is not what I'm saying. I want to be clear on that. That is not what I'm saying. My issue is that she's still in that relationship. Because like I said, I always thought that her message was a little bit off kilter. And now I kind of understand why it went in the direction it did. Because it's very, oh, you know, as long as you get what you want, it doesn't really matter. You just cut your feelings off type thing to a certain extent. Not all the way, because she does kind of stand up and say, you know what, if he's like in any way aggressive and stuff like that, you've got to leave that person, very flippantly. But the rest of it is very get what you want from the situation. And now that I know that she was in, well, and still, we don't know, they don't change, right? As far as I'm concerned, narcissistic and abusive characters, just that they don't change. They actually, I correct myself, they do change. They get worse with age. Okay. They get worse with age, right? So I am thinking to myself, so you're still in it. Now, whilst he might not be putting hands on you like he did before, narcissistic and generally abusive types tend to change the method at which they mistreat you. So they don't change, they just change the way in which they do it. So if they were a physical type, they might become a emotional type or a financial type or an actual type, you know, they'll change the brand of mistreatment, which isn't the same as changing. Although a lot of us think that it is, right? We can get a sigh of relief. It's like, well, you know, he hasn't hit me since X, Y, Z. However, he's been kind of like putting you down and doing other things that are equally as, you know, mistreating. I don't want to use the word that we're not allowed to use here, but you get what I mean. But I'm going to stop rambling here for a minute, and I'm going to encourage you to listen to this video. This is the woman who kind of sparked the whole debate. She came out and basically said, this woman's a fraud. Listen to what she says.
Hands on Shera. James was arrested for putting his hands on Shera. Shera tried to divorce James, also tried to get child support. However, that's when she found out that he only made $70,000 a year and that she will only get $600 a month. So that resulted into Shera getting her own job and providing for herself and her kids. But Shera wasn't innocent either. In 2012, she assaulted James.
All right, so this is where I'm like, okay. He was arrested for putting hands on her. So we know DV's in that situation. She was going to leave him, but then she was financially bound, because this is what happens when you rely on a guy for money, especially if he's a toxic guy. You end up not being able to leave that situation because that's the way they got it set up. Now, credit to her, she worked out a way to make it so that she was financially independent of him, which is exactly what you've got to do, which is why I'm going to give her some grace in the situation. Apart from the fact she was in an abusive relationship, obviously everybody deserves grace for that. But also from the empowerment point of view, yeah, she did that. She did the thing, right? To go from being financially dependent in that type of situation to making yourself financially free within that situation, that's a power move. I give her all the credit for that, right? I'm going to do that. Let's keep going.
As well. And
I feel like I want to
own
say something
job
else.
and providing for herself and her kids. But Shera wasn't innocent either. In 2012, she assaulted James as well.
From that point of view, I'm thinking reactive abuse. This is what I'm thinking here because there are no perfect victims. And if he was arrested for putting hands on her at some stage, girlfriend's going to get her lick back. Maybe not literally speaking, but sometimes literally speaking, right? So I'm thinking Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Okay. It's your time, James. It's your time. You're going to get back. You're now reaping what you sow. Don't cry. Right. So, from that point of view, a lot of people say, well, she's not innocent. I believe she is still innocent in that. If someone's putting their hands on you and has been for a long time, and you turn around and decide, actually, today is not the day, then they got everything they asked for, really. Now, I'm not encouraging you to do that, but if you did do that, that's kind of part and parcel of the dynamic, the narcissistic and generally abusive dynamic. You will get to that stage. I have actually, when I was doing just like straight up talking about narcissistic and abusive dynamics rather than through the lens of like media and stuff like that, I actually added an extra stage to the stages of being in an abusive relationship. And one of them was flipping out and becoming the person that fights back, because that's inevitable at some stage of it. So while she says she wasn't completely innocent, I'm with Shera on her being actually completely innocent. She did a bad thing, doesn't make her a bad person. That was the situation she was in. Let's keep going. Guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in the comments about what I'm saying. This is just my take. Tell me what your thoughts are about it.
Also has been arrested several times on DUIs, and that is why she started her whole YouTube journey, because she
drinking under the influence. Okay, again, this is a typical response to being in a narcissistic, generally abusive dynamic. Typical response. Not out of the norm. Responding, fighting back, drinking. She sounds like she went through the stages. Sounds like she went through the stages.
No longer drive nor go to work because of her DUIs. And that's just the start, y'all. That's just the start. Her real name is Letitia. She did not grow up with her father. Her mother had many children by many different men. She was also a baby mother. The ones that she speak on, yeah, that was her. Before y'all act all defensive about this stuff that I just told y'all, yes, I went and Googled all my research and I looked at the court cases and etc. It's all on Google, y'all. Y'all got her full name. Go do your own research. Even if you type it into Google, even the AI will give you the breakdown of all of this and say like, yes, like this is true. They will give you the links to the articles and etc. So yeah, do what y'all want with the information. If that's who y'all want to be taking y'all level up advice from, hey, I'm not judging you, but that's why I said all this, oh, Shera, right? Shera. Yeah, go marry your abuser. Love that for y'all.
You see, the judgment is not that she married her abuser. A lot of people do. To me, I'm just like, that's part and parcel of meeting the guy, getting, hoodwinked, love bombed, all the things, right? She's learned from that. Great. However, I'm a true believer in you can't really heal from the situation without leaving the situation. But she didn't leave the situation. She's still married to him. This is what makes me give that whole situation side eye. And also explain some of her messaging, which is more around making things work out where it is rather than leaving the situation in some areas. All right. Sometimes she's kind of like talking about it from the point of view of like settling, ignoring certain things, bypassing certain things to basically get to the money, get to have a provider, to have someone look after you type thing. And that for me is a distorted message that leaves you very, very open to toxic, narcissistic, and abusive characters. So that has always been my conflict when it comes to Shera Seven and her message. Some of it's good, and some of it is kind of like, well, you're kind of setting people up here. What are we doing now? right? We either gonna have standards or we're not, right? What are we doing? We can't have had standards. But now that I know that she's still in that relationship, it's making sense, right? That's my point of view on that. Okay, I don't know these people here for the lessons and to support. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support, and I hope there's a lesson here. Please still give your point of view. You don't have to know these people. I don't know these people personally either. Please give your point of view based on what's being said, sort of thing. All right, so we know a little bit of the background around what she's, I don't want to say dragged, that's a little bit strong, what people are discussing around her at the moment. And like I said, when it comes to transforming the situation and getting some of the power back in the situation, I'll give her credit for that. But she's still in the situation, which means she's not all the way, she hasn't all the way completed the lesson for herself. This is my problem with the message, along with what I've just said earlier. That's my problem with the story, her background, right? That's my only problem with her background. So her current partner was abusive. Yes, her current partner was abusive. We have no evidence of the current situation, but he was. And for me, if you haven't left him, you haven't completed the cycle. There's no way that you can heal and find out everything that you need to discover while still being in that situation. So while she has got some kind of understanding and perspective of that situation, she hasn't got the full thing because she's still in it. Right? And I feel like her history might have something to do with why she's still in it. Because initially she was still in it because she was financially bound, right? But now she's got the money to leave, but she still hasn't left. It's kind of like that whole, that experiment where, they shock the mice when they try to leave the cage or something like that. I can't remember how the experiment goes. I think it's shock the mice or they all I don't know. There are two different experiments that are mixing around in my head. But my point is, I'm just going to give a remix version of it. You get my point. So basically, they shock the mice, then every time they try to leave, and then no one tries to leave, even when the door is open. I feel like that learned helplessness is an example of learned helplessness, right? Happens in toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics all the time. You get punished and punished and punished for trying to leave. And then when you have an opportunity to leave, you don't actually leave. Now, I think there's more to it than learned helplessness with her. I think there's, I wouldn't even call it learned helplessness in this situation. I think it's more learned conditioning. I'm just going to give it a new phrase, learned conditioning, right? Whereby when you get those women who say all men cheat because all they've ever seen is cheaters. So you might as well stay with the one that you have. I feel like there's a lot of that going on in her situation. So now that she is in a situation, I might be wrong. This is my take on it. Now that she's in a situation where she could leave, she's kind of like, well, what is the point? Because all men are the same type thing. Especially if she grew up within the broken home system that woman was talking about. If any of that is true, we don't know if it's true, but if it is, that kind of makes sense, right? So now she's like, well, they're no better. He doesn't put hands on me anymore, so I'm not going to break up my home, and we're just going to call it a day. Now, there are some other rumors about the fact that he, physically put hands on her and her before their wedding, too. I don't know if there's any legal records on that, but there are rumors of that. Let's see. Can the victim still be in a relationship, heal if the abuser is getting help or therapy? I recommend, that is a shady one, because you know what? A lot of these types will do go to therapy bit just to basically rope you in again. So I would recommend leave. If you're going to go to therapy and do all that stuff, absolutely, that's great, amazing. Do it over there. I'll be over here. If I'm still available when you get that sorted out, then cool. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you because I'm going to leave right now. Right? That is the approach that I recommend that you take in that situation. Otherwise, we don't know if it's real. They're going to spin a narrative. They're going to spin another narrative. They can go all day. You can lose another 5 years on that therapy train. right? So leave. Um, there are bits of heat. Don't get me wrong, there are certain things that you can do within the relationship. Now, I'm not going to say that no healing happens whilst in the relationship. I'm not going to say that. But like I said, in order to complete the cycle, you have to leave that, because there are realizations that you come to after you leave, that you can only come to after you leave, because there is a numbness that happens when you're in the situation. There's a part of you that becomes completely numb so that you can operate and function within the situation that is, right? It's kind of like, I'm going to use a bodily example, which hopefully you can get the sense of. When you drink loads of water, or you don't drink water for a long time, your body learns to function on less water. It's the same thing. Like if you're always being exposed to traumatic situations, your body learns to adjust so that you're not feeling all of those traumatic situations all the time. You numb to the experience so that you can remain in the experience. So I call it thawing. When you leave that situation, you basically start thawing out, and then you start feeling. This is why a lot of the time it can feel worse when you leave the situation, because you start thawing out, you start feeling all the feels, you start looking back over things and really understanding the depth and the seriousness of that situation, which feels even worse. But it's because you're in a safe space to do it. You cannot heal in an unsafe space. So yeah, this is what I think's going on with her. I feel like there was a part of her that was empowered and she did do the thing, but then she didn't complete the cycle, like I keep saying. Also, and that is a trap in itself, which is why this is why you have to go no contact, because you will start negotiating with yourself on these things. You will. There's a lot of conditioning that goes on. If she had the full extent of that situation, she would no way stay in that situation, because children too, and that's probably still not quite right. Because did he go to therapy? Doubt it. If he did he change? Doubt it. Right? Things like this. So there's a lot going on there. Guys, give this a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So for me, I'm not going to go as hard as to say that she's an absolute fraud. I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is her ideas around relationships are distorted because probably of what she's been through in the past, her upbringing, and what she went through with him. That's what I'm going to say about that. Don't recommend having, let's see, don't recommend having hope that an abuser will change even in exactly, just don't do it. Like if they're gonna change, amazing. Think of it as some sort of immaculate conception, not something you're gonna gamble on, right? You're not gonna give any more time to that. I'm not saying be, like, I'm not saying be bitter. I'm not saying don't give them a chance. I'm saying you go your way, go no contact for as long as you need to in order for you to complete your healing cycle, right? Even if they're not dangerous, I feel like there's a part of you, especially if they're pulling the whole therapy routine, there's a part of you that will need to go no contact. Doesn't have to be a permanent thing, but it definitely has to be an immediate thing so that you can complete your process. So I keep talking about, like the different, her messaging being toxic. Let me give you some examples, because I found some videos which I think really do articulate this point. So I can't speak today. I literally can't speak today. Let me take some water. Let me try this again. I think that these videos kind of articulate my point. Listen to what she says here. This is when she's talking about her and James and how they first got together. And this in itself is a red flag to me. Like this, what? Listen to this. Okay.
James had a wife and a girlfriend when I met him. I knew I could get him. I didn't know when I first met him that he had a wife and a girlfriend. I found out later the only reason I stuck around is because I knew that there weren't no competition. If I could date someone for 3 months, have him paying all my bills, and he got well, he was separated, and he's separated and has a girlfriend, and he haven't stopped seeing me yet, then I'm the one. If I could
See, what I heard there was he lied to me about his situation. I thought I was the only one. And then I found out that he had other people. But then I realized that I thought there were no competition because he hadn't left me yet. Does that sound like sense to anybody out there? Because it doesn't to me. I'm like, you thought you were the one because he hadn't left you. Don't go with that logic, guys. Don't do it. And the fact that she's got this video up shows me that she's kind of still within this narrative. Like, you're not winning. You're not winning. If you're in a situation where you are, A, he lied to you in the first place, and B, there are other women on the agenda, you're not winning. Even if you get the man, you're not winning, which is proven by their track record, because you got the man and then he turned out to be a hands-on-you person. So what did we win? Right? We did not win, but let's keep going. Assuming that's true, we're just going to assume throughout this video that that is true. And he was abusive in that way. We don't know for sure. These are just what people are talking about in the streets. Let's keep going.
If I could take them, then I can keep them. And I'm not just being...
Now, the whole taking him and I can keep him thing is a very codependent way of thinking, which will keep us lost in a toxic situation for years on end. There's no keeping a man that doesn't want to stay. There's nothing you can do. That is an illusion given to women so that they can keep trying and exhausting themselves, giving men who are toxic their energy and opportunities to continue to abuse them. That's basically it. Okay? You're not keeping anything.
Confident. He was way older than me, you know. So I calculated that out correctly. I didn't take someone my same age. I didn't take someone who looked better than me. I took someone I knew I was going to be able to keep. And James was separated, not divorced. He might have been going back to his wife. I don't know. But I got him. You snooze, you lose.
Right. So he was separated from his wife, and he also had a girlfriend. So you knew that you were not the only one. And you knew that he lied to you. Red flag, red flag. Right? But she's saying this. This is my most concerning bit about that. She's not saying this as a cautionary tale, like, hey, ladies, this happened. And then the guy turned out to be, narcissistic and turned out to mistreat me. No. She's saying it from you snooze, you lose. I won the guy. I knew I could keep him. Like, she's winning. She did not win in this situation, assuming, like I said, what has been said is true. Now, she doesn't deny, she said that in her response to what's been said, she doesn't actually deny it. She just says that people should spend more energy fixing their lives than trying to tear her down, which is not the same thing as saying that, my husband has never been, abusive. She doesn't deny it. So again, I'm going to take that as a confirmation then. Next, here's another one. That first one, very worrying. It's given, I competed and I won the prize. But she didn't. Next one, toxic. This said that last one is enough, really, because that sets you up for all kinds of toxicity. If you are thinking in this way, like, oh, he's got two other women, but I'm the one, and you could get stuck in triangulation for years, just getting played. And we're going to talk about triangulation a lot more within the Blueface situation, because he is a triangulator. He should get an award. He should get an award, really. Let's go on to the next one now.
Do you see these videos?
I'll get mad at me.
Here's where she confirms that her relationship is largely transactional, which is a red flag. You should never be signing up for a transactional relationship. Yes, it sounds very logical on paper and like, yeah, you give me this and I give you that. And whilst there is some level of transaction within any relationship, it shouldn't be the main focus of your relationship, right? When I mean transactional, it's like you do this for me, I do that for you, and that's where we benefit from each other, right? I don't believe in unconditional love within intimate partner relationships. I think the person should be doing something for you and you should be doing something for them. Everything else is kind of spiritual bypassing and unhealthy codependent ways of being. Okay, so whilst I understand that there should be some give and take, it shouldn't be blatant transactional like she talks about here. Have a listen.
Say, did James see these videos?
James already know I'm married. Well, I'm not gonna marry some older man just for him, okay? Because we already discussed this. James already know if he didn't have no money, he would not have me. He already know, okay, y'all. Let's just say it. He already knows. That's why he always jokes around. I better go to work for you. Leave me. Even in our marriage vows, he made.
And the reason why I say it's a red flag also for him to kind of, because toxic, narcissistic, and abusive types will do that. They'll lead with transaction as a way of keeping you in place, as a way of keeping control over you, right? It's like, oh, if you do this for me, then I'll pay you X amount, or I'll give you an allowance, usually financially. It's usually, this is how they kind of like financially control you. There's a thing that I did, it's not up yet, but it will be on my TikTok, about a woman who was getting divorced from her guy, but then because he's just basically emotionally just bad. But then when she says she wants a divorce, he's like, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, he doesn't care, right? And then he comes around and is like, well, you know what? If we stay married, I'll give you my pension, or, you know, some sort of payment plan that they had together. So he's trying to negotiate an open relationship, but not because of love, because of using money as the tool, making it a transactional thing so that he can regain control and continue to abuse her in the way that he was before. It's a way of keeping you in place, right? So that's why I'm looking at this like, yeah, no. Whilst we want our men to be providers 110%, because if they're not providing for you, it's a sign. I did a whole video about that. It's a sign, or they don't want to provide for you. It's a sign that they're not really in love with you anyway. Priscilla talks about it. I think she's the first one that came out with started talking about the whole hormonal thing that is released in men when they fall in love. Can't remember the name of it. I'm not even going to try. I will butcher it. But the point is, there's a hormone. Oxytocin is released in women. There's a hormone released in men. And that hormone release is released when they provide for you. So if your man's not providing, ain't nothing releasing. That is their version of love. Like the oxytocin is our love bonding hormone. Now, that's not to say men don't have oxytocin. They do. But that's not the bit that makes them think it's the other hormone. Right? But anyway, let's keep going.
He made the officiator say, instead of for saying richer for poor, he made him say for richer or for richer. Okay.
Or you could argue that was released in him. You could argue that hormone was released in him, which is why he was so proud to be like, I'm a provider. She'll leave me. But you could argue that. But if we tack on the fact that he was actually putting hands on her, I'm just going to go back to my first theory. You know what I mean? Transactional. Let's keep going.
Okay. With the vows. And at our wedding, we made our own wedding CD and gave it to the wedding DJ and had him play Gold Digger by Kanye West when he took the garter off. Okay. We knew what we were doing. That was the whole beauty of it. Because all the people that we knew, they're like, I know you only married him because he got money. Yes. And so, yes, we had Gold Digger play at our wedding. We had fun. We know.
That should be a factor. That shouldn't be the only reason. That's my problem with that. Please don't listen to this and think that I'm encouraging you to marry a broke man Or, you know what I mean? I'm not doing that either, because you're not going to get any safety there either a lot of the time. In fact, it can be worse in a lot of situations. What I'm saying is it shouldn't be the only reason. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's keep going.
We know what it is. So, and that's why I tell you guys, I always remind him when he forgets how old he is and how old I am. I was like, I didn't marry somebody much older than me to have to put up with certain problems. So, get to it, whatever. And he thinks it's funny, but at least he still gets to be the man. You know what I'm saying? He gets to actually be the man. Because before, he was dealing with 50-50 independent women who were probably, competing with him. And he probably couldn't reach his full potential because he's too busy being put down and, competing with a woman.
And when you're listening to this, please bear in mind that he continued to cheat on her after they were married. So you got him when he was cheating on somebody else. You won, but then he continued to cheat on you. But then you win because he provides. What are we doing? Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Give me another take. This is my take. And please give this video a thumbs up if you like it.
That can obviously pay. So he really wasn't really motivated like that to become better, because she got it, He can relax. He ain't got to hustle. He could take a few years off, get his business started, right? His credit was good because her credit was good. Oh, he could have 2 offices, one in Houston and one in Dallas.
So before you, he was just basically living off other women and using them financially. But with you, he's flipped it so that he's the provider, because you've not allowed it to be any other way. So, okay, this is what they'll do. They are chameleons. Whatever way they can get you is whatever way they're going to get you. So if you were, this is what I'm saying. Sometimes it's not just about setting those standards, because you can set those standards and it'll be like, okay, I'll do that. But then she got herself into a situation where he was providing, but then she was trapped in that situation because she didn't have any money. So he used that financial situation to keep her just as bound as he was keeping the other people bound by spending their money, right? The other way, he was living off of them. This way, he was providing, but he was doing it in such a way that she was still trapped, right? Or the dynamic was in such a way that she was still trapped, because the other woman said when she wanted to leave, she couldn't. She found out that she wasn't going to get as much money being away from him, basically, because that's the way he set it up. And that's why you've got to be careful who you have kids for and what financial situation you're in when you have those children, ladies. Because honestly, you're going to be the one left holding the baby 99.9 times out of 10.
Okay.
Let's go on to the next one.
Because older men like to groom younger women, even if it's illegal. Like, you're 18 and up, anytime an older man comes up to you, they want to groom you.
She's not wrong. Okay, let's keep going.
So in order to not be groomed, but to groom them, you got to shift that power. Like, oh, this, and that. Yes, great. So now you're grooming them to associate you with making them feel important. Now they want to naturally please you instead of trying to groom you to please them. Now they naturally want to please you and be around you and do whatever it takes to get that compensation for, of feeling important. So when you're dating,
pause. This is where she went left, because there's no such thing as having the upper hand. There's no such thing as flipping the power dynamic when it comes to the toxic, narcissistic, and abusive type, which is who she's talking about, because those are the ones that groom, right? When it comes to them, you're either one to be groomed or one to be discarded, right? So there is no way that you're going to hear what she says about, like making them feel important, so they depend on you. They depend on no one. They have a harem. They have many women in the background, even when you think you're the only one. Hence what happened to her. She also felt she was the only one, thought she was the only one, until she found out otherwise. They don't ever just rely on one person. So you are never going to be able to flip that dynamic to the point where they are relying on you and being like, oh, I am dependent. No, it's never going to happen. That's what they want from you. So they play the game so that you end up in that position, but they know the game. They're never going to end up in that position. There's nothing you could do, say, or be to flip that narrative around. You are either going to be groomed or you're going to be left. And that is where her message is damaging, because she's got people thinking, women thinking, that they can say things or do things or maneuver things to flip the narrative. Ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you're around someone who's grooming you, run for your life. Get out of there. Quick, sharp, and in a hurry. You are not going to flip that situation around. And the more you try to flip it, the more manipulated you will become. The more manipulated you will be, the deeper into the sand you will sink. Please, if you hear nothing, hear that. So that's where I kind of get a little bit hazy with her message, right? Because you don't play with these types like this. That's not it. They'll make you think you've got power, but thinking you have power and actually having power are two very different things. In fact, if they're making you think you have power, you have even less power than you think you have. We see this with Blueface later on as well. Please, ladies, do not fall for this. Let's see what you guys are saying. Sounds like he was just triangulating with that whole other women haven't let me provide stuff. Could have been even that. Because they do that, right? You can actually not tell. Well spotted. Because they can do that. They can be like, oh, the other woman never did this, that, and the other, when actually they might have let him provide too. But he wants this woman in a position where she's letting him provide. So, but then with her, it doesn't sound like she would have needed much. It probably was not that, because that was her standard from the beginning. So she wouldn't have needed convincing in that way. Shera, it doesn't sound like she would have needed convincing in that way, because she was looking for a provider, right? Or so she says. So it was probably more like he was living off of them, which, again, they can go either way. Whatever they can get away with, however they can undermine you is how they're going to do it. These toxics are not precious about their approach. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And you use providing to trap her. Yeah, a lot of rich men do. This is why if you're going to go with the whole hypergamous approach, you got to be on your A game. Because a lot of these rich men do use their money as a trap. Let's keep going.
An older man, it's very important to make him feel important. Otherwise, he's going to try to groom you.
He's going to groom you anyway.
Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Ain't no way out of that.
You have to reverse that. And
please reverse what she said and just take it out of your head. Please.
It's very easy for women, because men's ego are so big that they think you're stupid and dumb anyway and impressed by them anyway. They think you're looking for a father figure and all this kind of stuff. They think you're looking for a dad. They think they're getting ready to groom you. They think they're getting ready to, do this. But really, you're smarter than them if you already know this game. And you already know, play dumb, play stupid, and make him feel important, like he's somebody. Because instead of you looking for a daddy, he's looking for a daughter.
Now, I don't disagree with the play dumb, play stupid, but we do this for different reasons. We don't play dumb, play stupid in order to get the power and all of that stuff. No, we play dumb and we play stupid in order to get to know who you're dealing with. Let them do what they want to do so you know what they want to do. because that's who they're going to revert back to when you're done cussing, screaming, and trying to train them. Okay, that's who you're going to be dealing with. So let them do what they want to do so you can find out early what they want to do. Right? And that's not to say you just lay down and just take everything. Obviously, you observe, no training. Anyway, if you want to learn more about that, come to the Warrior community, Warrior Living community. I talk about all of the stuff. I teach all of that stuff in there. Yeah, but right there, yes and no.
Sprinkle. People are always thinking, oh, y'all are looking for a sugar daddy. Yeah, y'all are looking for a sugar daddy. Y'all are a gold digger. But then men always want to date these younger women. And, you know, I dated an older man. I married to an older man. It's never they're looking for a daughter. It's always they're looking for a sugar daddy. Well, have you ever thought about it the other way around? So make them spoil you, especially if they're old. They don't have no excuse. Sprinkle. Thank you, Kat. What are best flattering remarks to much older man? Older men love the fact that they have experience, intelligence, and that they still have some type of, youth.
And the other thing, stop thinking men are stupid. Men are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. They like you to think that they are stupid so that they can get away with it. And you will basically just roll over and go, oh, well, you just didn't understand. They play dumb. They're not stupid. Two very different things. Toxic men. Let's separate men from toxic men, because not all men are the same. We're not talking about all men. We're talking about the toxic ones. The ones that groom, they're toxic. Okay? The level of toxic depends on the individual, but that's toxicity straight out the gate.
So you compliment them on their intelligence, their experience, and how youthful that they still are, whether it's you have really
that
good
works
ideas
for the time that they're with you, and then they're going to turn around and get that same supply from someone else. You are not going to be the only one. They're never going to isolate to one supply. It's never going to happen.
Or, I never thought
Even
of that.
If they're not outright cheating on you, they've got a friend somewhere in the ethers that they're getting that same sort of juice from. They've got a pen pal. They've got a family member. They've got people. Okay?
Or like, oh my gosh, you're in such good shape don't say for your age, just say, oh my gosh, you're in such good shape. Or, compliment their style. Like, oh my gosh, I love what you're wearing.
Anyway, enough of that. That's not going to flip the power dynamic. Let's keep going.
James.
All right.
So my biggest question with the whole sprinkle movement is, where's her husband?
James. What you doing? Hey, James, what advice do you have for women who want to get married?
Marry themselves.
Marry themselves first?
Yep. The question you should always ask yourself, if I can't live with myself, how can I expect someone else to live with me?
I can live with myself.
I can kind of hear the toxicity right there. Can anybody else hear the Kevin Samuels? It sounds like, reasonable advice, but I can kind of hear the Kevin Samuels in that. It's kind of like, if you're not perfect, then I don't know, maybe I'm reaching. That's what I'm hearing. It's like, marry yourself. If you can't put up with you, then nobody can put up with you type thing. It's giving critical out the gate. Maybe not as hard, maybe not as heavy as oh God, I can't speak today. I actually can't. Maybe not as heavy as Kevin Samuels, but you get my drift. This approach that she is suggesting is unsustainable. Exactly. That's my point. It's like, okay, but you're not going to flip the power dynamic by you doing that approach. You are literally just going to get further and further into a situation where you think you've got control, but you absolutely do not. It's not worth it to me, especially with the toxic or not. Yeah, exactly. Which they are going to be, for you to even have to do that in the first place.
What about men?
It can't be a middle-aged to probably older guy.
You got to be middle-aged and old.
All right, so women need to live with themselves before expecting to live with anybody else. But what about men? Hang on,
Older.
I didn't hear that right. Let's go back.
Middle age to probably older.
About men.
Live with me.
I can live with myself.
Okay, so women need to live with themselves. Men,
What about men?
It can't be have to be a middle age to probably older guy.
You got to be middle-aged and old.
To older.
Older.
Between 35, probably almost 40 now. Between 40 and 50, somewhere in there.
Why?
40 and above. Because people are so now that people are so promiscuous that a lot of times people, they olden days people monogamous.
Now they
These
don't.
days it's all over the board.
If you ain't ready, don't do it. There you go.
all right, so men should be older because of some reason he can't articulate. Because what was that? What was that? Guys, can you make sense out of what he just said for the reason why the men should be older, apart from I'm older and I'm describing myself? Like what? Because back in the days of promiscuous, like what was that? Let's put it back, because I didn't get any sense out of his reason. That was just a circular salad. Circular salad. What?
People,
Yeah.
people, they olden days people tend to be monogamous.
Now they
These
don't.
days it's all over the board.
So why do they need to be older? Because people used to be monogamous. These days it's all, so is this why I can't connect those dots. I can't. My brain's hurting.
If you ain't ready, don't do it. There you go.
Guys, let me know your thoughts. Maybe I missed something there, but that did not make any sense to me. Let's keep going. So clearly, this guy is nonsensical. I mean, this looks like it was a couple of years ago anyway, but still, let's keep going.
Don't act cold. You are cold. You act nice. But all the compliments, and I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to do that for you, don't get it here. They get it here. Until you can hold them and touch them, they can't get it here. Y'all.
Now, whilst I think what she's saying is handy from the point of view of avoiding future faking, which is what a lot of these toxics will do. They'll love to future fake. And what she's suggesting is a good way of like counteracting that, rather than a healthy space. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you don't need to be cold. You can feel whatever you're feeling, but you need to remain logical about the process, right? Not because you're a cold ice queen human being, but because you know the price of not. Or sometimes you don't know the price of not, but because you are taking it seriously. Let's put it like that. We should be taking those things so seriously. If a guy says, or a woman says, because same-sex relationships do exist, that they're going to do X, Y, and Z, you're not going to give, her point was, you're not going to give them credit for X, Y, and Z until they've done X, Y, and Z, which is 100% facts. I can't argue with that at all. But I don't think you need to be cold in your heart in order to achieve that. I don't like the idea of promoting coldness. I don't know. Let's keep going.
We letting stuff get here before we get here. Oh, I'm going to give you all the things you want. I'm going to marry you. I'm going to give you money. I'm going to pay all your rent. Oh, really? Oh, you love me already? Oh, where is it? Where my money? I can't feel nothing until this feels something. Okay? Y'all be feeling this before this.
And it's not necessarily to do with money. Money can be an aspect of it, could be whatever. Because toxics future fake in a load of ways, not just monetarily speaking. And that can get you, because guys know that they're working with connecting with you mentally. They know that.
That's like spending your paycheck before you get paid. And then, oh, I'm sorry, we can't pay you this week. We're out of business. Now you're in debt. Get this first before you get this. Okay? That way, if this get broke, you still got this. Well, you still got this.
I don't know, guys. You tell me your thoughts. I think some of these messages are a little bit. This is why I'm playing them.
Never cheated me out of any money.
Here we go.
Someone asking if my husband ever cheated. No, ma'am, he's never cheated me out of any money. Sprinkle, sprinkle. All right, then. Hope that answers your question. I've never been cheated out of any money.
So you've been cheated on. So despite you thinking that you were the one, you got married and he continued to do what he was doing with the other women, but you being the main person instead. See? That's what I'm talking about, guys. Let's keep going.
People are asking me dumb questions. What will I do if my husband cheat? Nothing. I don't care. That's the difference between me and some people. I really wouldn't care what they're doing. I would do the same thing I tell y'all to do. Get more money. Once you get to the bag, once you're a certain age, you don't care about that stuff. Like, who cares? Already, you get what you want out of the situation already. You're already there. If you married for, y'all keep doing stupid stuff and then asking dumb questions behind it.
This is where it makes sense. This message makes sense with her situation. But encouraging other people to have the same approach, yeah, no. This is a toxic message in itself. It's like, oh, why do I care if my husband cheats? Because he's your husband and you agreed to commit to each other and disrespecting the vows that you both made. What do you mean? Why do you care? Right? And I don't agree with encouraging women to have no emotions about anything. That is just you being in a toxic situation. That's how you feel when you're in a toxic situation. And that feeling brings on diseases and ill health and, nervous system dysregulation, all the things. It leads to nowhere good. So no, I can't encourage that. Let's keep going. Wait a minute. What does Harlem say? Wouldn't you have to become toxic yourself to make this type of relationship dynamic work? To a certain extent, yeah. To a certain extent, yeah. But you become toxic in a different way a lot of the time. Well, you do, sometimes in the same way at some point. Like I said, you are going to have that reactive situation happen. You're going to start dishing out what you're given. That is one way in which you do it, but also in the way of becoming codependent. In that situation, you become toxic and try to gain control of the situation through trying to appease and stuff like that. So much, right? You can, a lot of the time, you become, I'm going to call it directly toxic and indirectly toxic, right? Blurring lines, overstepping boundaries, all of the stuff. And that's why I always say there are no perfect victims, and that is why it's hard to identify who might be the perpetrator and the victim if you don't know what you're looking at, because you're just looking at two people fighting a lot of the time by the end of it. You got to go back to the beginning. You got to look at the power dynamic. There are so many things to pinpoint who's doing what. It gets very messy.
If you're marrying a man for the man, then marry him for himself and his ability to be perfect. If you're marrying for lifestyle, then marry him for lifestyle. Y'all have to learn how to separate that. Y'all have to learn how to separate that. Y'all be marrying men for true love and stuff. Y'all are dumb. Y'all better be married for lifestyle, money, freedom. Marry up.
Now, I don't disagree with what she's saying. Because I feel like love should be included in there somewhere. Okay? I am not going to just marry any old guy because he's got money. I'm not going to do that. But then I'm also not going to just marry someone because I love them. Because I'm not going to... Balance is key. Elements They're ingredients to a cake. You can't just have eggs. You know what I mean? And that's the same with yeah, let's keep going anyway.
Marry someone that's not going to do stupid stuff or can't pay for stuff or whatever. Like, what? My question is, why do y'all care so much when they not care at all? Okay, I'm not.
But my question is, if they don't care at all, why don't you just be on your own and live your best life? Like, I'm not understanding why that person is there. You know? So again, that conflicts with the empowerment message for me, because why is that person there? Why have you given your life or part of your life? Why are you sharing your life with this person? Why did you bring humans into the world with this person? Why are we doing all of that if that person doesn't care?
Getting ready to put all my emotions in one basket. I'm getting ready to live my best life.
Because let's keep going.
And do everything that I want to do. You know, when I was a kid, my goals did not include what a man thinks. My goals did not include living for a man. My goals never included expecting a man to be perfect or to depend on a man for my happiness. My goals included to do everything I wanted to do, to live the life I wanted to live. So I don't base my entire existence around if a man does whatever he does. I just don't. Because if I did that, then I wouldn't be living for myself. I'd be living for him. And I don't live for other people. Okay, I live for my kids. But I don't live for no man, darling. Sprinkle, sprinkle. So what about STDs? Girl, take them to the vet or don't do nothing with them. Y'all are stupid out here. I don't know what to tell you. Some of y'all live in different countries where laws are different. In America, you ain't got to touch nobody, even if you're married to them. You don't got to do nothing if you don't want to. I don't know where y'all live, but in America, you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to roll around on a mattress with nobody if you don't want to. Your provider pays bills and allowance. He recently asked for small bills twice and then paid me right back, but he won't say why. Is this a flag? Yeah, he's trying to get you used to it. Tell him this is where you draw the line. Say, I will never do that again. So don't ever ask me. Tell him how much of a turnoff it was and that you hate it and that it really disgusted you, and he will never ask you again. Okay.
He'll probably dump her too, but good advice there at the end. 110%, don't give men money. Absolutely. And he was getting used to it. I agree with her on that. But again, like I said, parts, like I said, it's not 100% no, but there are some bits, I hope you can see from the things that I've been playing, that there are some bits that are really detrimental. Some of the things she's saying are actually detrimental to women. So yeah, it's not really, and I, like I said, now that I know her situation, her background, and her current situation, that makes sense. Because this is how she has processed and learned to deal with the situation and got to a place where she feels empowered within the situation, whether that be reality or not, right? Let's keep going. Because here's the thing, she could be free to meet someone who actually loves her, but she's not, because she's dealing with this situation and being empowered within it. Like, huh? If you are now the provider, because apparently she makes more money than him now, I don't know how true that is. I don't know about their financial situation, but even if he's not the provider, let's just take that out of the equation because we don't know that for sure. We now know that she has enough money to look after herself. So anyway, I don't know. I just think, like I said, you can't be in a situation like that and then be healed completely. That's not how that works. And to be out here giving advice from an unhealed perspective is very, it's not cool.
Shera, thank you. I literally knew it.
100%. You're not going to be 100% healed of all things. Nobody's perfect when we're out here. But at least have gone to therapy, at least have moved away from that situation and have gone to therapy to get a perspective before you're out here telling anyone about anything about relationships, toxic or otherwise. That's my take on it. Let's keep going.
It was a reason why I loved her.
Let's hear what one.
And to the girl who made the video about.
Wait a minute. Where are we here? So yeah, those are the things that I thought were like particularly worrying about her messages. Obviously, that's not all of it. Some of it's good advice, which is why I played those ones as well, so you can see that it is mixed in. But then, you know, Andrew Tate says some good things sometimes. Does that not make his message damaging? Right? She's basically spinning her abusive situation into a grift online. Yeah. I don't know if I want to be that harsh, but I hear what you're saying. I don't know whether she realizes that that is what she's doing. I don't know. Because remember, she comes from a background of trauma. So she could truly believe that this is the best thing that any woman's going to ever get. Do you know what I mean? And that love, real love, doesn't actually exist. She can truly believe this based on her own situation and what she's experienced in her life. So I'm not sure if it's a straight up grifting situation. I don't want to put that on her. But I know that some parts of her message are a little bit off. I'll say that. All right, let's go to the court of public opinion and see what some other people have said about the situation. And please chime in, let me know your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please, guys, let's do this. Let's talk about this. Again, she's helped a lot of people. But there are some things in her message that's just a little bit like, girl, no, though. No.
Sprinkle lady.
That is actually dangerous. And if it wasn't dangerous, I wouldn't talk about it. I'd just be like, she's doing her thing. She's a little bit off, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it's actually dangerous towards women. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have to say something because that's kind of my shtick, right? To educate women, you know, in regards to the healthy ways of doing things. So, and how to avoid these situations. She's not really helping you avoid some of her message. In fact, she's kind of helping you get into it. Like I said, I don't think she's doing this on purpose, or I don't know she's doing this on purpose because I don't even know enough about her in regards to that. I haven't watched all of her things. I haven't studied her. So I don't want to go out there and say something irresponsible like that. But I will say what I have seen worrying. What one was that? 7. Here we are. We got there are people that make some really good points both ways, if I'm honest. Really good points both ways. I'm not gonna say really good points. Some of the points were just a little bit. But anyway, you let me know your thoughts. Guys, give this video a thumbs up. Let's start with the first one.
And to the girl who made the video about Shera, thank you. I literally knew it was a reason why I loved her. And you just solidified it. If all of that stuff about her is true, chef's kiss. You got to be careful taking advice from people who never been through nothing. Like, her advice literally be so good, so to the T. It's like, now it makes sense. And I don't know if it's true or not, but if she really did slap the shit out of James, sometimes you got to just...
I'm not mad at her for that. Like I said, he's putting hands on her. What was he expecting? I get it. Guys, let me know your thoughts.
I never used to pay her content. I saw this video about the sprinkle lady. And one thing about me, I never used to pay her content no attention because I know everything that she's putting down and I don't see nothing wrong with it, so I never spoke on it. But the girl video was like, oh, she went to jail and James ain't rich and all this shit and all of that. Shera ain't never said that man was rich. But one thing that I know is females will always, and not even just females, people will always dig in your past when you're trying to prevent people from going through the same shit that you went through without telling all your fucking business. Or people like to bring up what they heard you did or what they saw in you, or
and I would hear that from her. I would thank you. She says, I hear that. And I hear what she's saying, this woman. I hear what she's saying in regards to her trying to help other people avoid that. But then she's not, though. As you can see from the examples that I've given you, she's not helping them sidestep situations. In some cases, she's actually putting them in situations where they're going to be even more vulnerable to that situation, but feel as though they're empowered within it. Right? So I hear what she's saying, but that's not what's actually happening.
you know what I'm saying? It's just like, that don't disqualify me from saying what I'm saying. And that don't motherfucker, what's that word? That don't discredit. It don't discredit anything that I'm saying. If anything, you should know that I have experienced it, so I have lived it, and I could tell you something. It's
experienced it, not experiencing it. Like this should be a closed chapter of her life. And then she can speak on it, because like I said, the things that you learn when you leave are very different to the things that you are learning when you're in it. So yeah,
experience is the best teacher. When I tell y'all about these broke ass niggas and these bum ass niggas and stand down for a nigga and holding a nigga down just for him to play in your face and go do more for the next bitch, understand it's a lived situation. If only y'all knew the amount of females that I have fell out with in the past 3 years, and how many of them have tried to say that I was jealous of their relationship when we all knew that the relationship wasn't hitting on shit. I just saw through it and I told them what to do in order to not waste time. Now these same females is currently saying that they were indeed going through what Takesha said they were going through, and well, won't be able to rekindle that friendship, but you should have listened. It's okay to listen to people that have been through the shit that you're going through. It is okay to listen to people who are trying to help you prevent going through the shit that they went through. They don't make nothing that they said less knowledgeable, bitch. It honestly gives them a notch up because they've been there, done that, skinned that cat.
But she hasn't finished skinning the cat. That's my problem with that. But yeah, I hear what she's saying again. Yeah. And I feel like this lady is like incorporating what's happening with Shera Seven into her own situation and not seeing the Shera Seven situation as clearly as she should be. Like, that's what I think. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
Is civilians finding Shera Seven. I think one of the worst things that's ever happened on TikTok is civilians finding Shera Seven. I've been an OG Shera follower for years, but that makes sense because I'm a... So if you're a civilian and you follow Shera, don't. It's literally rebranded SW game. Everybody want to be a hoe, but nobody want to be a hoe. I enjoy her content and follow her stuff because it all makes sense to me. I've been in SW for 14 years now. All the stuff that she says is basically the golden rules of SW. Now, obviously, she a little cold. She a little heartless. And as an SW, yeah, sometimes you kind of have to be. Because otherwise, a lot of people, women, will put themselves into sketchy situations, precarious situations, with people who are not deserving of your time or energy or efforts because of some misguided notion about, oh, but I love him. He treats me so bad, but I love him. Poor thing, he's just got a lot of trauma. He's just dealing with a lot, and like, I can heal him. I see the good in him. Girl, no. I think one of the biggest issues is people watch her stuff in clips. They don't go and watch her entire little live streams and look at all of her content. People clip her stuff for the most salacious or witty or funny or quotable bits and pieces of her streams. And you can't do that with that kind of content. You've got to watch the entire thing because there's a ton of other context that goes into it. And of course, I don't believe in everything that she says, but most of it is just like boundaries. It's just ways to be a good S worker and ways to determine what your priorities are when you...
Did you hear what she said? It's ways to be a good S worker. We've got someone giving advice en masse to women about how to be a good S worker with these toxic, narcissistic, and generally abusive men out here. That's my problem with it. This woman hit the nail right on the head. That is my problem with it. You're literally, it's a situation where she's giving advice on one hand, good advice on one hand, but also making that woman think and operate in ways that make her more vulnerable and easier targets to these toxic, narcissistic, and abusive men. So, which is it? Let's keep going.
You have this kind of mentality. Most of y'all are civilians. Most of y'all don't have a whole mentality. And that's fine. That's normal. You can go ahead and be normal. Most people are going to marry people near them. You're going to marry somebody you met at your job. You're going to marry somebody that you met in high school or in college. You're going to marry for love, for the little tingly feelings that you get, in your doobly-doo when you're around that person. And that's fine. You can marry for whatever reason you feel like. You can marry for love. You can marry because it was arranged. You can marry for money. You can marry because that person's just hot. You can marry for whatever reason you want. But what Shera puts forth, and what I also believe, is that there can't be any romance without finance. It just doesn't work for me. But if it works for you, that's fine.
I believe the same. I'll get on that wagon. Absolutely. 110%. But to say that there can't be any love in it at all is too far for me. Too far for me.
You can marry for just love. If that's your priority, then that's fine.
I don't recommend. I do not recommend.
My priority is somebody who is going to allow me to have a stable life. And then if I don't want to work, I don't have to. I want someone who says, honey, all my money is yours. And your money is yours. That's the kind of relationship I want. And that's the kind of relationship I got.
Okay, guys, you let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Here's another one.
A lot of you forget that
I
love Shera Seven and Wizard Liz, but a lot of you forget that those content creators are not teaching you how to find a stand-up quality man. Those types of videos are for the women who have completely given up on love and romance and want to maximize their financial well-being for the least amount of effort possible. I don't think there's anything wrong with following their advice. I just think that it's important to recognize the difference between that and finding true love the way that you see in movies.
Okay, exactly. Key. The information, the advice is for those who have given up on love and romance. And I don't believe that we should ever be in a relationship where we have given up on love. And why are we in the relationship at all? I don't believe that. Now, what this woman says about, like you see on TV and movies, if you follow me, you know that I don't invest in that kind of love, because a lot of the time it's just codependent, kind of be an easy target love, right? So for me, we're not talking about TV we're not talking about movie and TV either, but we're talking about real love, right? We're talking about real love, not stuff you see on TV, the stuff that, you see, is reciprocal. We're talking about real love that is reciprocal, that builds on itself, right? If you don't believe in that, you shouldn't be dating anyone for any reason. Just go live your life, go travel, go do stuff, right? And just live your solo life. Why are we getting married at all if you don't believe in that? Is my question. I'm Awake says, yeah, she comes across as a madam giving advice to her workers in the brothel at 110%. This is what it gives. Maladaptive coping strategies. Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what it is when it comes to, because that's what you create when you're in these toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics. You come up with maladaptive coping strategies, which is another reason why you can't be out here giving advice if you haven't completed the cycle, because what you're giving is maladaptive coping strategies. You're not giving the enlightened, learned version. You're giving the wounded version that has learned to cope within the situation. Right? No No offense to, no shade to Shera Seven. That's just what that is psychologically speaking. Right? Let's keep going.
Some of you don't realize that.
Right. So yeah, that's another reason we don't give up on love over here. Yes, there are toxic, narcissistic, and abusive men. Yes, there are a lot of them out there. Yes, but we gotta go through the needle in the haystack to find our good one. Right? To find our good one. That is the mission. Not to get married anyway to a guy that's got money and just forget about love altogether and just have him cheat on you whenever he feels like it. No, no, guys, no. Let's keep going.
Exposing hate is like backfiring because people, I love that the Shera Seven exposing hate is like backfiring because people appreciate those who speak from experience because it exposes the people who are trying to lie about what that experience is really like. And what I mean by that is a lot of people would rather hurt than heal. And the people who would rather hurt and use their trauma as a crutch will always dislike somebody who speaks and moves with a sense of, I have healed and now I am speaking from a healed place. The only people who appreciate...
There's so much here. I can't even begin to unpack it. Guys, tell me in the comments. There's so much here. I can't even begin. There's so much wrong here. Let's just keep going.
Appreciate those who truthfully share their experiences are others who are tired of people lying about the truth behind a lot of these collective situations that a lot of us can relate to, but a lot of people choose not to tell the truth about. The best example I can give is the whooping your kids conversation. You have the half of society who is like, I turned out just fine, I will be beating my kids. And then you have the other half of society who is like, no, that's abuse. There's no reason that you brought a kid into this world and you have so little patience that you feel like you need to whoop them for every little thing, even if it's just behaviors of them learning the world around them. I think at this point it's safe to say those who claim that they have turned out fine are indeed not fine at all. And it's just a coping mechanism used so they don't feel like they're A, throwing their parents under the bus, or B, having to divulge into trauma that they've been avoiding, which has affected them up until their adult.
I agree with that. You're not fine. That's traumatic. Whether you want to say something else in adulthood, it is physically abusive, and that is that's just what that is, right? And I've always had an issue around, I don't believe in hitting your kids because I don't see how you can hit your kids and say it's for discipline and love, and then turn around and say that your man can't hit you. I don't see how those two marry in anybody's mind, especially the person that you're hitting. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be able to separate that. So even if they are separating it in their mind and being like, yeah, my mom can do it, but you can't do it, slowly but surely it's common for them to find themselves in these physical situations and just accept it. And that's one of the reasons why, because, my mom loved me and she did it. So you probably also love me as well. You have issues, but you love me. Right? You can't blame them. Can't blame them. Anyone for thinking in that way. I disagree. They shouldn't. I disagree that they shouldn't get married. There are many reasons for a civil union. There is definitely a group of men who should partner with this group of women, transactional open relationships. Okay, I hear that. All right, if you've given up on love, get married to the transactional people. But I don't encourage it. I think the reason why I say that I don't think that you should get married if you've given up on love is because I just don't truly believe that anyone's really truly given up on love. I believe that you're settling when you do that. And I prefer you to waste your life on yourself than waste it in a marriage catering, because you do when you're married, to another guy who doesn't love you anyway. That's the way that I see it. It's like, what? Just live your life. Like, you know, if you're going to sacrifice love, actually sacrifice love and just live your life. This is the way that I see it, right? Why bind yourself to a person that doesn't care about you? Why do that? That's a toxic dynamic in itself. And then, like, okay, you know, and you might say, oh, well, you know, they don't cater for each other. He does his thing, she does her thing. Then why are you married? I don't know. Tell me your point of view. Maybe I'm missing something here. I'm not disagreeing with you. I hear what you're saying, but from my point of view, I'm just like, it just seems like a waste of time. A big commitment to waste time to still not get what you want, but then be bound to someone who's also going to be there, you know, restricting your movements, essentially, because you can't do what you want 110%, even if you don't care about that person. These SWs doesn't want hundreds, thousands of Johns. They just want one. That is an easier life. Okay, I hear what you're saying from that point of view. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Turning tricks. Let's see. Turning tricks only for one man is who provides versus countless others. I see where they're coming. Okay, from that point of view, as an SW worker, oh yeah, for sure. But I just mean as a, you know, standard woman out here, no, this is just a waste of time. It's a waste of time, a waste of energy. If you're gonna sign out on love, just sign out on love. Why share a bed with someone to do that? I don't see the point. Let's keep going.
Years. So in terms of Shera Seven, there are a lot of women who are now finally being honest about a lot of the truth behind their relationships, or these long marriages that a lot of older women have stayed in, that are finally divorcing and spilling why they have realized they were unhappy. Shera Seven has pretty much helped open up that realm so that women can be more mindful about only worrying about themselves and putting themselves first, which is so crazy to even have to teach.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's kind of like Andrew Tate and his whole motivational bit. You know what I mean? Like I said, not everything she does is bad. Not everything she's got in there is bad. It's just there are some bad bits, is all.
People, but considering the society that we live in and the world that we live in, we do need to see and hear examples from other people who are speaking from experiences that they've had in their life, because I know a lot of women feel the same way that I feel, that if we were put on game a lot earlier, instead of looking around and having to believe the lies around us, there are a lot of women who wouldn't be in some of the situations that they are in right now when it comes to men.
She's not lying. The education part of it, 110%. We need more of it. Hence why I've got the school. But let's keep going.
Women who are not ready to admit that they don't put themselves first for real are the only ones that are mad at Shera Seven, if we're going to be 100% honest. And I'm glad that more women are starting to say,
disagree with that, but let's keep going.
They know her advice is real, and I have experienced it, I have utilized it, and the results are there. That is what we need more of in society, in terms of these bullies who try to look up dirt on people and expose them, when in actuality all they did was boost Shera Seven's content. And if you know Shera Seven, you know she does not care. Anybody who is used to being hated on does not care when the next person tries their luck.
Okay, parts of that I agree with, other parts I don't. Now, I don't agree with people just digging up stuff on people just because they don't like what they're saying. I hate that. Guys, we did that last live. I was talking about that. Just because it's a hard message. I deliver hard messages all the time. So, you know what I mean? I don't agree with that. I'm not going to co-sign on you digging up her ass because you don't like what she said. That's ridiculous. However, there is something, like I said, I've been saying, I'm not going to go into it again. Her message is a little bit skewed. Let's keep going.
crazy. Like, I can't believe like that video was like, oh, in 2003. 2003. What are we talking about? What are we talking about here? I feel like some women are so insufferable, not to the girl that made the video, but like women just in the comments. It takes someone to go through something to know better. Your biggest influencers on here, Shera, Priscilla, Lilith, they've all been through life, okay? And it's just crazy how like y'all come in these comments, y'all bash them, like y'all just want to talk shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, like they trying to get a game, but y'all sitting up here being resistant to it. Talking about, but you got it hit. Ain't nobody born with that information, okay? Experience has to happen.
Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit that bell so you get a notification every time I do a live. Let's keep going.
Lacks self-respect. I don't even see that she lacks self-respect, that she doesn't value.
So, hey, you guys. Me personally, I'm loving this conversation that is being had because, ideas and thoughts are being challenged. But what I would like to say is this. I was having a conversation in the barbershop a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, I was really listening to what men think that good women are. And a lot of men think that women who allow themselves to be disrespected are good women. Men really think that.
They do.
So generally, my theory about men and women is that
which is why you cannot be concerned when a man says, you're a bad woman for setting a boundary. You can't be concerned because this is a good woman to a lot of these toxics. And a lot of men are toxic. Right, let's keep going.
We just really don't really understand each other. Like, we don't really get each other. And so, like, I feel as though that is where most of our confusion comes from. So hearing men say that they think that basically self-deprecation as a woman is an identifying factor of a good woman was really like a light bulb to me.
Yeah, see, right here, I want to pause. Not all men. Some men will see that and think, oh, she hasn't got much confidence. I don't want to think. A healthy man's not going to be attracted to that. So she's talking about the barbershop, which is, again, not really the place to go for, like, a character, breakdown, like research into relationships. It's a very limited pool, of which to take information from. And how many of those men were healthy men in the first place? I got to ask those questions, but let's keep going. Because she's applied this to all men. I don't think this is all men. I think these are toxic men. Yeah, they think like that. Yeah.
I was like, wow. So
wait a minute. Let's see. I wonder if people are understanding the difference between healing and trauma bonding with influencers. Is it trauma bonding? I'm going to stay away from trauma bonding because trauma bonding is a different thing. Although I feel like trauma bonding could happen within the Andrew Tate situation because he's quite harsh with his influencers at the same time, right? He'll give a message and then he'll kind of like berate the people that he's talking to. Kevin Samuels, the same thing. So in that, there could be elements of trauma bonding. Her, Shera Seven, I've not seen her be insulting towards her audience. If she is, correct me on that. But if there's no insultingness going on within that, then I'm going to steer away from trauma bonding and call it trauma connecting. Right?
Me as a woman turning a blind eye and continuing to accept behavior from someone that I do not find acceptable for whatever my reason is actually seen as a great quality by men. That's scary. Yeah. So in this conversation, it was outlined that, of course, this man pays all the bills. He handles his business financially. He handles his business as a father for the most part. But, you know, certain disrespectful actions will go on. Those can be any certain disrespectful actions, despite the fact that there are bases that are covered. So in the moment, it made me reflect on my own personal views, but the facts as it relates to what we tolerate and how that correlates to how we actually feel about ourselves. And so I began to explain in the conversation how allowing a man to cheat on me, no matter how much money that he has, is not something that I'm going to do. First reason I'm not going to do it is because I love me. I love me. I don't like getting disrespected. I love me. So for me, it's not a fair trade to allow something like that. I think it's okay to caution.
Second point is, how is he cheating? Is he bringing back diseases to you? Is he putting your life at risk? Like, what's going on? Right?
Women about playing a game that a lot of women are not equipped to play. Shera is making it sound, rather simple because maybe this has been her game, but a lot of women are not equipped to play that type of game. Not only
you got to be careful with your advice. You got to be careful with what you are telling people that they can do, because whilst you might be able to do it under a certain circumstance, you can't be putting people in those situations, right? I don't believe a lot of, anyway, let's just keep going.
Are they not equipped, but they don't understand the implications about what it says about them, what over time it creates, because you will create a pattern of disrespect. You will create a pattern of disrespect for your,
which is communicating something to you about you, whether you like it or not. If you stay in a situation where you are being constantly disrespected, it's going to give you a message about you that you're not going to be able to combat, because you are also accepting that behavior. Do you get what I mean? This is psyche. This is just the psyche. There's nothing you're going to be able to do and interpret into that. Right? Hence why she's probably still in that relationship. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of a relationship, but do you see what I mean? I hope you can see.
Yourself. No matter how glamorous you make it look, no matter how good it seems, no matter what perks you get out of it, you as a person are going to be losing. You are literally your own sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like, you are sacrificing yourself, your self-respect for finances. Yeah. And that's what it is. And it's literally okay if you truly understand that. If you truly understand that, that's fine. But the level of anger that you guys have towards the spiritual whistleblower is so funny, because y'all are so mad you can't see that she's telling the truth. Y'all are so upset that you think that this is a personal attack. It's not personal. It's the facts of the matter. And the fact that you can't see that is another reason why you might want to stop trying to learn how to play the game. And you might want to focus a little bit more on loving yourself, because if you did know how to play the game, you wouldn't even be responding so angrily to the spiritual whistleblower.
And the other thing about learning how to play the game, I'll tell you how to play the game. Learn the signs and do not play, because you're going to lose. Okay? Learn the signs and do not play. That's the only way to win the game. When you're talking about a toxic, narcissistic, and abusive character, learn the signs and stop playing it. Don't even get into the ring. Do not get into the arena. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200. Just stay out of the way. That's it.
And y'all keep on saying that Shera's not responding. Shera's not responding. Y'all don't even have enough emotional intelligence not to respond. And Shera's not responding. This is exactly why you need the warning. Y'all better listen.
Let me know your thoughts.
Deuces.
Let's keep going.
About how Shera Seven. I just saw a creator talk about how Shera Seven inspired her to start her business, and she fuck with Shera Seven, but she doesn't want to hunch on an old unattractive man just for the sake of her bills being paid. I'm not a fan of Shera Seven because I feel like she promotes settling. I'm not a fan of people telling women to talk to or be with a man just because he has money.
Yeah.
I think love should feel good and not like a job. Yes, she has some sound advice, don't date a broke man, but that should be common sense. Money matters, and so does love, and actually liking who you're with. The clips that I've seen Shera Seven and her husband, she's to me always mean to him. I notice when people settle, they be bitter about some part of whatever they're settling. When you don't like,
and now that I know that he's been abusive in the past, that makes sense why she's mean to him.
Someone, you're going to treat them bad because you don't like the situation or whatever's going on. You don't like what you're going through. I don't believe you have to give up one for the other. I seen a video clip of Shera Seven, and somebody in the chat asked her why she don't go on vacations, and she go say, "'Cause I got kids." Hold on. So you been on YouTube for umpteen years. Your husband a provider. Yeah, your bills paid, but damn, you can't take you and your kids on a vacation? Talking about I got kids. You can bring your kids with you. What the fuck you mean?
Isn't that even more reason to go on holiday? I'm confused. Especially if you have someone as a provider. Your children need to see the world or parts of it or some aspect. It's part of education. Let's keep going.
Women who settle scare me because if you're pretending to be happy about less than what you want, what else are you pretending about?
Bingo. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I'm going to call it trauma connecting. I just came up with that on the spot. I'm going with that. It's not official. I just made it up. We're working with that. Because I feel like we do that a lot. We call trauma bonding something it's not quite trauma bonding, but I get it, right? All right. Just two more, and then we're going to move on to Blueface and that situation. I feel like there's two more, but they're good ones because one of the women, wait, where are we? One of the women talks about her experience. Oh my gosh, this is going on too long. I need to stop.
Here with that
Bear with me. We've been on here for almost 2 hours talking about this situation. Wow, I need to make these shorter, hopefully.
Discussing Shera Stevenson.
I need to make these shorter. I need to go. Oh no, maybe we're going to have to do.
Mind that Shera Seven is going to.
All right, let's just finish these off. All right, let's go. Where are we? Here.
Hey, what did y'all think? You think she gained all that wisdom from not experiencing shit in her life? She's trying to get y'all from reinventing the wheel by sharing her wisdom. Hey ladies, do this. Don't go down that path. Where do you think she got that knowledge? You guys bashing a woman on the internet for having lived experiences in past relationships like you expect her to be a perfect person? She's choosing to help young women move in a patriarchal society. And like with anybody on the internet, you have to take what they say with a grain of salt, and you also have to use your own discernment. You guys will take back your cheating bummy boyfriend over and over and over again, but yet hold women to a higher standard as if they can't have a past and still be valued in the present. You guys will watch influencers who have literally been handed everything and has been through absolutely nothing, and you will take their advice. Yeah, good luck with that. We're not bashing Shera Seven for having lived experiences. Y'all are weird. I'm in a long-term relationship, and she has still helped me level up in life. If I were to have access to that knowledge when I was a young woman in my 20s, my life would look a whole lot different. Just because she has a past and her life looks different now, and she's speaking on that, doesn't mean what she says has no merit.
I wouldn't, like I said, I'm not going to say it has no merit, but it's limited in its capacity.
Yeah, James, someone was discussing Shera Stevens in the comments, and they're like, yeah, James has been arrested. Yeah, she makes more than him. But so what? She's teaching us game. Love isn't real. Get a man who can take care of you. Oh my God. That is what y'all are listening to? Because you're broke and tired of working? You don't believe that you can ask God for a provider and actually have love involved? You don't believe in love? Stay far the fuck away from me. You live in a loveless life. God is love. If you don't believe in love, you don't believe in God.
Thoughts? I love that tape because you're going into a lot to give up on love and then still go into that. She's right. It's a loveless system. You're entering into toxicity just by the very nature of that dynamic.
To get is from women. The best advice that you're going to get is from women who essentially have a combination of being a lover girl, doing sprinkle sprinkle, and then just totally, completely de-centering men. Usually the sprinkle sprinkle girls are getting retrained from being lover girls. So there's a lover girl to sprinkle sprinkle pipeline. I've been a sprinkle sprinkle girl since I was 19, okay? I was a sprinkle sprinkle girl.
We're going to replace the lover girl with the codependent. All right, let's go. So you're going from codependent type thinking to what is it? My heart is cold, a stone. We're just going to get everything we can from them, and we don't even care who that person is anymore.
19 until last year when I was 31 years old. Once you've done sprinkle sprinkle for so long, you still realize that yes, you're getting money, yes, you're getting resources, but you are expending energy.
Which is my point.
You are expending energy, okay? Because at the end of the day,
which is my point. I'm like, why are we marrying them at all? If you've given up on love, give up on it. Actually give up on it and do your own thing. Like, why are you still in that dynamic, giving energy to something you don't believe in? Let's keep going.
Anytime a man is in proximity to you, he's gaining something from you. Your beauty is adding to his status. Your energy is giving him energy because the feminine is abundant. Your being, your presence just next to a man is heightening him in some way. So then that goes on from sprinkle sprinkle to just straight up decentering men. So you go from dealing with the rich men to becoming the rich man. Shera Seven has shown y'all this in plain sight. She got a provider, and now Shera got a provider and then became the rich man. Because at the end of the day, you realize it's easier to become the rich man. Okay? So the game is just coming from a place of you're not going to be a lover girl anymore.
And if that is the case, why is she still with him? If we've done full circle and all of that, why is she still with him? Why? She doesn't believe in love. She's done full circle. She's become the rich one. So the point of him is what?
You're not going to allow yourself to be manipulated. You're not going to allow yourself to be used. You're not going to allow yourself to just fall for these games all the time and then look back and then have nothing to show for it. Winning the game is reparations. It's allowing yourself to now become the predator as opposed to being prey. Because when you're a lover girl, you're a prey. When you do sprinkle sprinkle, you're a predator. When you've decentered men,
you're giving your energy to being a predator. Yeah, I'm not signing up. I'm not going to co-sign that. No. Give your energy into healing, understanding yourself, and learning about how to avoid these situations, not to become a predator. And if you are, I mean, I've read the 48 Laws of Power, not because I wanted to use that to abuse people and stuff like that, but just because I wanted to learn about the signs. What are the signs? What are the flags? What was I, 20? I want to say it was 28, 20, maybe even 20, 26, 27, something around that. I was young. I was a baby, right? When I read that book, but I literally read it to understand how power is being abused, how power is being misused in certain situations, not to become a predator myself. I feel like that's a losing game. It's a losing game.
You're just you. Okay, you don't care about having any proximity to men. You're on your trajectory. You're focused on your life. You're focused on your purpose. And so essentially, there's a pipeline between all this. Every woman is going to be different. There are women that are going to stay lover girls. There are some women that are going to stay sprinkle sprinkle. There are some women that are going to go back and forth between sprinkle sprinkle, lover girl, decenering men. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, all that matters is that you are getting what you want out of whatever path you are choosing. There is no right way to do this.
Codependency and predator, you're not going to get what you want out of that. Those are two wrong paths. I disagree. There are right ways to do it, and those two are not the ways. You're going to get a lot of heartache. You're going to get a lot of problems. You're going to spell a lot of energy, and you're still not going to get what essentially you want, which is love, harmony, peaceful life, maybe some kids, maybe traveling partner, whatever it is. You're not going to get that in those two dynamics right there. Right? You're not going to get that.
There's a smart way to do this to preserve yourself, of course. But at the end of the day, there for sure is a pipeline when it comes to how women, kind of become this whole sprinkle sprinkle. They play the game. They master the art of seduction. A lot of the time, it's reparations for men hurting them, because it's exactly what
mastering the art of seduction is just self-abandonment. All you got to do is abandon yourself and play some role, and you've mastered the art of seduction. Self-abandonment is part of the problem. It's the core of codependent ways of being. So do not recommend. Highly not recommended, guys.
Men do to women. They get their heart broken in the first grade, and they live out their whole entire lives taking that out on every single woman that they deal with in the future.
Okay, guys, that's it. We've got two more. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit that bell so you get a notification every time I go live. And I go live every Sunday. Let's keep going.
That women who wear their hair like big and curly, which was code for wearing their hair natural, because she's talking to Black women, because no other group of people would take her seriously. Women who wear their hair natural and women who wear braids attract dusties. I'm just gonna ask the question, okay? If you are a disciple who follows the teachings of Shera Seven, Sprinkle Sprinkle, does her advice work?
Back in about 2018, I used to consume a lot of Shera's content. I think I can give a stab at your question. I will tell you, the answer to this question is not going to be a feel-good answer. It's not going to make it more digestible, and it's not going to make it to where you might have a better level of respect for her. I can get how y'all won't understand a lot of the things that she says, because on TikTok, y'all tend to get bits and pieces of what she's saying without a lot of context. But Shera says you want to avoid wearing your natural hair, no nails, no makeup, not being dressed up, and you are looking for a high value man. Now, when she speak about a high value man, she is not speaking about a man of morals and integrity. She is strictly speaking of the financials and what's in that man's pocket. So keep that in mind. According to Shera, the goal is to get to the bag so that you can get to the bag. She's a big proponent on getting money and getting yourself together and propelling yourself, so you don't necessarily need a man, but she feels that men should be the ones paying for it. Follow me. Shera feels that when a man sees you without hair, nails, and braids, and natural hair, it will make you more attractive to the man that she does not consider a high value man or a dusty. When I first heard it, I was a little off put. Again, I wear my natural hair, I wear braids, so I was a little put off as well. But Once you start talking to men, and I almost hate to bring them into it because they're like candy men. Once you say their name 3 times, here they go in the comments. But once you start really speaking to them about women and how women present themselves, in a way, they kind of confirm what she says. If you talk to most men and you ask them, what is it about women who don't wear makeup and all the things and all the fixing? What is it about them that they are attracted to? A lot of them will say, maybe paraphrase, they might not say these exact words, but they'll say some variation of the fact that these women are low maintenance. And when you really get down to what they mean by low maintenance, they're not speaking about the physicality of maintenance, like going to go get your waxes and get your nails done, because a lot of them like a woman that's well manicured. They don't mind you going out and getting those things done. They just mind paying for it. And then some of them feel that those things are attributes of women who tend to ask for money or tend to expect monetary things from men that they are dating or they are married to. Now, keep in mind, Shera's teachings, I'm just going to use the word.
We should all be expecting monetary things from men that we are dating or married to, especially if you want kids. Especially if you want kids. You're going to bring a whole human into the world and be in a position where you're depending on this man, but you're not allowed to ask or expect any monetary support. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Let's keep going.
So that you can attract what she calls a high value man. So if your goal is to seek a man that has the money and that is willing to spend it on you, you don't want to present yourself as a woman, so to speak, who is not seeking that. But that's the way that she feels. Yeah, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, because I'm a still wear my natural hair and I'm a still wear my braids. But that's the thought process behind it.
Nice thoughts. Okay, I'm Awake says, unfortunately, in a capitalist patriarchy, women have a difficult time surviving alone. This is true. This is true. So this thinking makes sense when you need protection, safety, housing, insurance, healthcare, money, etc. Maybe the solution is for women to partner up with other like-minded women and pool their resources, or with families, or what, however, because remember, when you are relying on men in this way, you're also making yourself vulnerable to them in this way. So, yeah, let's be clear. Let's be careful. Let's be selective.
As one of the great women.
Last one, guys.
There's no doubt in my mind that Shera Seven is going down in the history books as one of the great women who helped wake women up of our time period to the delusion and the lies that we've been fed for centuries. But as amazing as she is and how much she woke up women, I don't agree with everything she has to say. In fact, some of it I think is damaging to women of our time period. Many of us wish that Shera Seven was around 10, 20 years ago. But everything has changed since social media. Women can actually talk to each other and tell each other the truth. Back when women couldn't get bank accounts, and when women had to get married to survive, which wasn't that long ago, the 70s or 80s, Shera Seven's game plan would have worked. She realized that men are very lustful and
It seems like she's reading. Let's just keep going.
Desire after a woman's body, and that's mainly what they're after in life. And so she uses that to her advantage. She flips the game back around on men. Because men tell us they want to love us and take care of us, and that's never been the truth. They've always just wanted access to our body. In fact, marriage is so that a man can have access to a woman's body. They want you sleeping right next to them. They want constant access to your body, and they don't want you to have a job where you're around other men. They want you in the house, married, taking their last name so that they can own you. Marriage never really made sense, but women just ate it all up because they wanted to be loved and show off their fancy ring and the title that they're married. But after a few years, after the desire and the sexual attraction wears off,
and also there was a whole matter of survival, because you couldn't really do anything or get anything without a man, right? So they had to get married. Let's not forget that.
These men can change. In fact, a lot changes as their finances change or as their looks and appearance change, because you're just something they use. And when they can't use you anymore, like a narcissist, they will discard you. But Shera Seven knows all of this. She knows that men are seeking all kinds of women. She knows that men will even cheat. And she's okay with it as long as she has her name on everything. Insurance plans, the house, to give him less of an opportunity to be willing to divorce her. And she's smart, and marriage does do that. It covers women somewhat. But a lot of women who do get divorced, most of the time, they can hardly get that alimony. She uses her sexual appeal and desirability to keep this man in her life and working for her entire life, which is also a good game plan if you're going to marry a man. Make sure he's constantly working for you. Where I disagree,
I agree with the fact that, yeah, you need to be smart about the investments that are made within the household, prenups and all of those things. We've got to take love out of that bit. We marry for love, but we're not going to do our negotiations as though that exists, right? That is a good game plan in regards to that.
with her is the part where she says that you should live with a man or get married to one. Because right around the corner, we have robots and we have many different ways in which we'll be able to make money and survive independently. A lot of people don't realize this is coming. They think the world is going to hell in a handbasket. It's not. We're headed to a world where women can truly become sovereign, where we don't have to live with any abusive family members, where we don't have to rely on anyone. We can be totally free and independent. And that's where I think Shera Seven misses the point. Yes, when women can't have bank accounts and we can't own.
If you can't leave, this advice is feel good. I'm not going to say it's good advice all the way, but it's feel good advice. But we can. The door's open. We're not, we're not going to act like rats with the door open, just sat in the cage anyway. You know what I mean?
Property, we have no other choice but to play Shera Seven games. But since we can make our own money and we're headed into even a more independent, technologically advanced world, I would strongly recommend never living with a man. Never tying yourself and commingling funds or your life with a man.
Whoa. Never living your life with a man. I'm not going to go to that extreme. Like, you see, why do we have to be so extreme? Never spending your time with any man, anytime, anywhere. Now, don't get me wrong. Not the decentering men. Well, it is part of the decentering movement, but it's a thing that kicked off in Asia. But that kicked off in Asia because the DV rates were so high. Women were like, we're having absolutely nothing to do with men whatsoever. We're not doing it because of that extreme. They need that extreme. We don't need to do. I think we need to be that extreme in our selection, but I don't think we need to go as far as to say we don't want men in our lives at all. We don't have to do that here. I think we have to be extreme in our selection and the way in which we go about relationships nowadays. With a better understanding of these toxic dynamics, we need to maneuver with a lot more logic. We have to maneuver with a lot more assessment and vetting in place. But that's not excluding love. And that's not excluding men altogether. Right? I just don't, I'm not there yet. You might be there. I'm not there yet. I think that's a bit too extreme.
Need to work on your talents, your career, your job, have friends, and make time for a boyfriend if you really want one on the side. But the moment that you give a man that much power, that you're going to take his last name, you're going to live with him and do life with him, it's a power game. And she plays those power games very well. She makes sure the power is in her favor. But it's exhausting.
Does she? Does she? I need to see more of her life to know that, especially knowing that she's come from a DV situation in the first place and is still in it. Does she?
And on top of that, you got to live with a man. We're all realizing that our peace is very important, and the people that we surround ourselves with helps our spiritual journey and our growth. We're moving into a world where a lot of us are going to be okay being on our own.
Aunt Boo says I'm there. Okay. I hear you, girl. I hear you. I'm 48. like the girl in South Korea, like the girls in South Korea. The thing is, you might be there now, you might not be there forever. Like sometimes you need to go through that extreme to get the equilibrium, right? You got to get that balance right. Sometimes you've been so far one way, you need to go the other way in order to finally get to a middle ground. So maybe 4B. Thank you. The 4B movement. G. Where did the G come from? 4B movement. I do know what I'm talking about. Believe me, names and things, they're screwed up. Anyway, 4B movement. Yeah. Honestly, I've lived in South Korea. The DV over there is ridiculous. I could hear women screaming from my apartment block. That I can see why they have it's ingrained in the culture of certain things, DV situation. It's in everything. So I can see why the Korean women have said, absolutely not. I'm just not getting married. We're not doing any of it. I tell you what, we're done. I can see, but I don't think that we need to do that over here. Yeah, it's crazy over there. Crazy. I feel like South Korea in regards to crime is kind of like Dubai in regards that there isn't, let me not say that. In regards to crime as in like theft and, theft is crazy in London, right? But in like Dubai, in the Middle East, there's none of that. And it's the same in South Korea. There's none of that stuff. You could leave your bike around, you could leave nothing's going to happen there. But DV, that's number one. In South Korea, that's number one. I think that's what the police are there for in the first place, really, in regards to that. So I can see why they have done that. Totally makes sense to me. Haven't been around it myself, 100% makes sense to me. But I don't think we in the Western world need to be doing that much yet. We don't need to be doing 4B. Decentering men, 100%. I feel like we need to do more of that because that helps us get out of the codependent ways of thinking that we've been trained into from childhood or trained into by movies, media, blah, 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 all of that stuff, because all of that codependent stuff just makes us more vulnerable to these situations. So decentering men, okay. But we're not doing men at all. It's a bit extreme. I wonder why that is. A lot of reasons, really. I just won't go into that now. Let's keep going.
But ironically, being connected like never before on social media and pretty soon meeting up in hologram form. We don't need to stifle ourselves with one individual for the rest of our lives. We can allow our interests and our friendships and our relationships.
The short answer to I wonder why that is because it's built in within the culture. It's really quite acceptable within the culture, even though it's not, it is, right? Let's keep going.
Relationships to grow as we grow and change. And that's one thing about marriage I've never liked. The fact that you're two completely separate individuals and you have to stick it out together. And a lot of the time you adopt each other's beliefs and there's this kind of feeling that you can't move in a certain direction because you have your husband. You can't move to a certain country. You can't move to a different state.
The ideal is to find someone that has your beliefs, but you have to know what your beliefs are in the first place. Hence why getting married too young, too early, too fast are not recommended, because you're not going to have those things in place and you're not going to be able to match. It's like your values and my values, and you're not going to be doing all of that when you're getting married in those ways. Let's keep going.
You can't try a new career path, and no woman should be doing that just so you can live with a man and say that somebody loves you. You should always be able to move independently and flow with the desires of your heart and your spiritual growth. So the future is us becoming completely independent.
But I don't think that you need to be single in order to do that. But you do need to be with the right partner. Hence why it is so important that you, if you're going to be with someone, vet extremely well, because your life literally is at stake. Even if they're not physically mistreating you and stuff like that, the ways in which we compromise for a person that we are living with, that we are connected to, can be so extreme that you lose yourself, your life, and your whole thing. Right? So we got to be very particular about that and not just go, well, no, there's no, there's none of that. We're vetting, we're assessing, we're doing all the things now, ladies. That's what we need to be doing.
If we want a man in our life, sure. But we don't need to mesh ourselves so much with a man that it's hard to pull away from that man. And I would strongly recommend commingling your life with a man at that level. But if you're going to get married the old-fashioned way, you better be playing these Shera Seven games, because she knows how to make sure that the power is always in her favor. And she's right. We are the prize, and never let anyone tell you otherwise.
Key. So in that, I'm going to conclude. I don't think her being in an abusive dynamic makes her a fraud. I don't. But I do think elements of her message are contaminated, red pill adjacent, dressed up as empowerment. I do. That's what I've seen. It's just, if you're following it to a T, you're most likely going to make yourself a target to something that you don't want to be a target of, is in my opinion. And I've always thought that before this has come out, I've always looked at her, well, not always, because what I've seen of her stuff, because I don't really follow her, but what I've seen of her stuff, I've been like, Like I said, I'll put the link in for the video I did about a year ago on Shera Seven. I was talking about pearly things and Kevin Samuels at the same time, and I drew some comparisons between them if you want to know more about my thoughts on that. But yeah. That's my conclusion. Now, if you want to learn more about toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics and trauma, how it can show up, trauma bonding and all of that stuff, how it shows up in your relationship, how your past trauma can really affect your future, all of that stuff, check out my free training at the Livermore Academy. This is psychoeducation for everyday women. We all need to know this. It's not we're going to wait until we get into an abusive dynamic and then we're going to learn all the things. No. We need to learn from the very beginning. If you're dating, if you're single, if you're married, if you want to get whatever your situation is, you're same sex, whatever, because women are toxic, narcissistic, and abusive too, right? So this applies across the board despite the gender that you're working with, all right? Check it out. Links in the description box. I was going to go on to talk about, why does it say Taylor Swift? Well, clearly we haven't finished that. I was going to talk about Blueface and the whole situation with that. But I think we're really out of time at the moment. We've done two hours and 20 minutes. And this is going to be like Blueface. Honestly, I should just give up today. Just give up. Blueface is going to be another long deep dive. We're going to be here for like 5 hours max, minimum at this point, because I'm going to be talking about Jaden. I'm going to be talking about Nevaeh and his new girl, Stunner Girl. I think I'm going to just do an extra live on, say, Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday evening, afternoon, somewhere around there, so I can get this out and then continue on with Tiana Taylor and Blake Lively stuff on Sunday. That's what I think I'm going to do. We're going to cut it off here. Guys, thank you so much for coming and staying. Let me know your thoughts. Replay viewers as well, please give me your thoughts in the comment section. Yeah, I'm sorry that we couldn't get to the next bit, but honestly, Blueface is going to be a deep, deep dive. We're going to be here all night. I got so many videos, so many breakdowns, so many examples. We just don't have the time. So I'm going to do an extra live on Wednesday. Hope you will come to that or come to the replay of that and check it out. Yeah, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want help vetting your new relationship, your current relationship, whatever relationship, check out the link. You can book a call with me in the description box. If you're in a toxic situation, you can get onto the recovery program. If you've left a toxic situation, you can get onto the recovery program. If you want to recover from the codependency and the anxious attachment that a lot of the time come with being in these toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics, you can get onto the recovery program because there are 3 different options. One program, 3 different options, depending on where you are in that mix. Check out the link in the description box. And until next time, live boldly, live empowered, live from the inside out. Bye for now.
But you wanna suffer. Trauma recovery. Yeah, trauma recovery. Toxic recovery. Trauma recovery. Toxic recovery.